What you have here is a report, and at the top of the page, it tells you the website that I ran it on, which in this case was va.gov, gives me the date, and tells me also the browser. All right. Then you have expand all, collapse all, and export all links. So you can actually click on any of those links to export these. Now, each one of them opens up in separate tables so you can view the data. And I'm going to open the links one first. And I think here, told me there's 111 items. And I open it up, and then what you have here is a table that shows the JAWS speech output, the reference point, an image of where it came from, the web page, a link to the code, and then a tracking item so that if you wanted to look back in our raw data, you could track it back to that. Why I use this one is kind of interesting because there's some places in here where the developer had added code and tried to add more information to the element, and they're getting double speech information. The first one is skip to main content, tells you it's the same page link. And obviously since I'm blind, I have no clue what the color is, I believe, or the font, but there should be on the screen a difference when the word link shows up, because that stuff JAWS is adding to that information. You don't control that. That's part of the verbosity of JAWS. So the word link is it in a different color? For anybody tell me? Green. Green? Okay. And I believe bold and italics. So there is a color chart that goes along with it so people can check that. And this is the ability so that you can actually tell what JAWS added versus what you may have put into it. Now, as I go down this report, and then it says sitemap, it says something about A to Z. And this is each one of these icons here, they also added the information to give you other data about that icon. So in this first one, it says email icon, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm listening to the screen reader in one ear and not reading the screen. And then the second is, click to the email directory. So that extra information, did we need that? Is that too much verbosity? The second part? Or was email icon enough? That's kind of the user experience. You have to sit back and look at that and say, did I need that information? I like a form field here. I'm going to go to one. Here's controls. Let's do edit boxes. All right, so we have a couple edit boxes here. This one's kind of interesting. No, I didn't want that. So in the first column, it tells you what type of element it is. It says it's an edit box. And if you look at this one, it actually says it 3 times. Enter your search text, enter your search text, enter your search text. We have to look at that one now and figure out, well, why is JAWS saying it 3 times? In this case, they had a foreign ID on it, they had replacement text, and they added title attribute. So they did 3 things, and the screen reader is going to read it 3 times because there's that much information being provided. So this is one I would want to take a look at and figure out, well, why is it doing that? Look at the code and see it. And if we wanted to, I can display it, and it shows the information up here on the screen. I can also actually go to that spot on the web page as well. So the idea is to be able to pull all this data in here, bring it up into a report, and let someone take a look at it, visualize what the screen reader would have said rather than listen to it. Don't learn the, I don't know, X number of keystrokes. I think there's one for every letter of the alphabet, plus the numbers, plus left curly bracket, right curly bracket, all the different keystrokes that we have to memorize. And instead, pull this data in here, and then you could be able to share it. In this report, these will be exported as a CSV file. There's a link on each one, so you can export that section as a CSV file. And then you could, parse that data and share it out. In future releases, we'll actually have the ability to check off the items you want to export rather than the entire table. There will also be a, add to bug tracker, things of that nature. So if you're using Jira or some other bug tracking system, could you add that one record straight over? So pretty simple to use. All I did was run a command on each, the web page. Don't you love this? Firefox wants me to do an update in the middle of the presentation. Ask later or never. And it prompted me twice. Love that. Just in case the first time wasn't enough. Okay.
So, last question.
You have a question. Is that Chris?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and I'll repeat it.
So that example there of saying it 3 times would pass a WCAG test.
Correct.
Right? It passes.
Passes a WCAG test, yep.
So are you promoting this as WCAG testing plus usability? Or
I think it's
already just usability?
I think it's more on the usability side. I think that there are places where, you're going to look at something from WCAG perspective. You're looking at the images and you're seeing that none of the images are labeled. That's another story, right? Or did you label them right, and so on and so forth. But in this case of this one, yeah, this would pass. But is it the right message that you want provided to the user? Probably not. It's a little confusing. So that's the usability side, I would say.
But anyone doing a regular WCAG test that's looking at this, they've got no option to say, but other than say, yes, this passes. Because they're not testing usability.
That's right. But in workplace environments, we also have to consider, and I'm talking workplace, we also have to consider usability too. So, this is not a, an auditing tool. It's a tool to gather the data so you can view it. People are going to use screen readers to do functional testing, and they should. People should understand whether or not something is working with their applications. And then additionally, they should understand what it's going to say. In this case, yeah, this would pass, but is this the right message to the user, and is this what we want? Is it confusing? Then if we looked at, yeah, Matt.
We got one other question.
Yeah.
So Matt, that's good for web only?
This portion is web only. There is a speech to text viewer that you can run on your computer, and everything you do would be captured into that and exported. But it doesn't create reports. There is a play, pause, and export. So you just kick it off, and then at the end you can export it. Good question.
We got lots of questions.
Uh-oh.
So I'm curious, is this checking each of the slides in carousel, any of the dynamically generated content, or just the page as you're seeing it?
If it's in the DOM, then it's gathering it. If you had to kick something to make something happen, it wouldn't have captured that until you had kicked it. So if you're, for example, in a menu, if you hadn't opened the menu first and it's not visible to the screen reader until you open the menu, then it wouldn't be checking that. It's at the time that you run it. Did that answer that?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Other question?
You're clear now, Matt. You covered the room so far.
Okay, good. So the other options in this report, let's see. If I do the command again, what am I doing here? Element under mouse, so you can actually just check one element at a time. Element properties, that would bring things into a properties dialog box. Show ARIA live, so you can actually run a report on an ARIA on a screen that has an ARIA live and do the play, pause, be able to see what ARIA attributes were assigned to the ARIA live, whether it's polite, atomic. I'm going to make one up. Argumentative. You've heard of that one before? That's the one I use. You can highlight the current element. This is for people who are developers, not for people who are blind, to actually see where on the screen it was pointing to when you actually ran that. So you can actually highlight that element and then clear the highlights. So pretty simple, easy to run. The speech viewer right now is in beta, or not beta, prototyping. it's actually run out of the system tray, so you can turn on the speech viewer at any point. I'm not going to do it because it would, I wouldn't run JAWS with it, even though I'm running it in my, over here on my computer. But I can show it to anybody who wants to see that part. Any other questions? No? Okay. Billy? Yeah. Oh.
I was gonna ask another question. So,
Yep.
So on that, the previous screen where you were showing us the report output. So, what would you get if you had, say, a control that only worked with a mouse click? Does that show on this list?
It would show, so would it be a link?
Yeah.
It wouldn't identify that it was a fail, but it could say clickable.
Okay.
So it depends on what the speech output would have said. So it's actually not doing a pass fail on anything in here at this point.
Okay.
But most likely it would say clickable. I've been to pages where JAWS did not report it as a link. And so therefore it didn't even show up in the links list. It wouldn't have shown up in this report. So you wouldn't see it potentially if it's only mouse clickable, and like even the enter key doesn't work, nothing.
Yeah.
You can't tab to it.
Right.
Yeah, then it's not going to show up in the report.
It just doesn't show up.
Yeah, exactly. There are some elements that may show up, but can only be functional by the mouse as well, but because they're properly tagged as a link and they've gotten the tab order, but their function is only done through mouse.
So typically, what is a sort of scenario for running a test? Is it a combination of this plus a few other tasks?
Oh yeah, so this would not replace your other audit processes, right? This is just helping gather that data because you have, X number of screen reader users times whatever number, and you want to know everything it would have said so you can gather that data and share it out and say, oh, if I had done this, and an example where somebody makes their anchor links tabbable, and so, every time you click on one, it takes you to another one in another spot on the page. That's going to show up as a link. Nowhere would have anybody seen it unless they went through the code. They're only going to see it as if they actually ran that function and heard the screen reader say it, right? Unless you open up the code. And it took you there and it said, you've now successfully got to this spot on the page. That's going to show up as a hard link in this report. But if you just ran it with a screen reader and weren't listening, you wouldn't have seen it because you don't see a physical link on that spot on the page. If I open up the images here, let's go here. Oh, there aren't graphics, there we are. So in here, so you can see each one of these has a label on it. Instagram. There's the pause for the carousel. Play. This is interesting. It would pass, but it's just weird. There's a double read. And then it actually has the image and description, kind of an interesting description.
Really bad.
What do you say?
It was a really bad alt text. Picture of a man next to another man.
Picture of a man with a woman and another man.
Standing side by side.
And the text reads. And then I guess there must be text on the image as well. Not to pick on the VA, but the fun part about government is you can always pick on the government, right? Just kidding, government. Okay. All right, Billy, you got it? Let me turn off JAWS for you.
Yes, please. There's enough voices in my head already.
I can just steal your other mic.
Is it actually working?
Yeah, it started working without me doing anything because that's how technology works.
Hi, everybody.
You might recognize me from the frantic man running back and forth across the room, but I actually do have a role at TPG. My name is Billy Gregory. I'm the Director of Training. I'm not going to take a lot of time because we are hopelessly behind schedule now, thanks to, well, Billy Gregory, the Director of Training. Well, actually, thanks to this microphone just stopping working after lunch. It didn't get the memo to come back at 1:15. It showed up at 1:30. That's okay, though. So if you're familiar with Paciello Group, we had a something open for it in there. We had a tab open for it.
One more.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the Paciello Group, you know that we have some of the smartest and best sort of accessibility minds employed underneath us. We have folks like Leonie Watson. We have folks like Steve Faulkner, Henny Swan, Ian Pouncey. The list goes on and on and on. And we wanted to find a way that we could harness the sort of the group Borg-like knowledge of this group and present it in a way that we can train people. I love training. I love going places. I love speaking to people. I love meeting people. I love to travel. Unfortunately, it's not always possible for us to do it, and also it's even less possible for some of our clients to get everybody in the room that they need to train at the same time. So we put our heads together and we actually came up with a product, and we came up with a way to harness the sort of the group knowledge of the Paciello Group and then present it to the client in a way that was cost effective for them. And we came up with something called TPG Tutor. TPG Tutor is our new e-learning platform. We've got a handful of modules available right now. We've got several more on the roadmap for 2018. We're looking at hitting probably a library of close to about 25 modules by the end of the year. These modules range from sort of beginner level, like intro to accessibility or intro to WCAG, and they go right up to sort of advanced ARIA techniques. And they go right up to, I'm actually writing a new module right now called Never Trust Conference Wi-Fi. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is what, for those of you who can see the screen on the screen right now, this is what the average module would look like. There are a few things. Now, I should tell you, we should backpedal a little bit. Our modules are all completely accessible. It's built off a JavaScript framework called shower.js. It's heavily modified. We've made it play nice with all of the screen readers that are out there. It's heavily tested. It's a very elegant and easy to use platform. At the bottom of each page, we have our navigation. They all have title pages. Jumping around a little bit here. Just hide this. If we go to the next page, and I'm not going to walk you through every page of a 25-page module, I promise. We do have a table of contents, and that just shows you sort of some of the stuff we have in here. This is our intro to WCAG module, I believe. And in this, we have learning checks built in every once in a while where they make sense. And these learning checks are put there as, well, just that. We want to make sure that one, your employee is actually retaining this knowledge. And it's a quick little check to make sure they're doing that. And two, we want to make sure that this gets passed through to an LMS. So if you're using one of these, all of these modules that we have are completely compatible. We have a proprietary SCORM packager that can make these compliant with anything for SCORM 1.2. So we can wrap these up in SCORM. You can plop them right into your LMS if you want, or you can access them right through ARC. The learning checks themselves are pretty straightforward. They're not the biggest, they're the toughest, but we want to make sure that people are picking up the knowledge as we're putting it down. So we're just talking about things like, what is the current version of WCAG? If you don't know that, if you haven't answered that, then you're probably not paying attention to anything we've talked about so far in this module. At the end of that, and the best part is we don't actually let people do anything until they at least submit an answer or make a guess. So they're sort of frozen there until they move on, or until they make a selection to move on. At the end of every module, we do have a selection of resources. Either, oh, it's stuck on me. There we are. It's just being, geez Louise, there we are. We do have a number, oh, all right, it's not annoying. You have to trust me. There's a resource page at the end of this that isn't coming up right now. And that lists everything we've talked about in the module. The reason why we put it all at the end is because we don't want to pull people out of the experience while they're learning something. We want to make sure at the very end that everything's there that we talked about, but we don't want them to be distracted while they're in here. So we don't want somebody to be reading along, taking the lesson, and then jumping out, going to another page, reading something there, and then not coming back. We've tried to design all of these modules so they are easily digestible, something somebody can do in, say, 30 to 45 minutes. that they can do, either a 1 hour or 2 hours a day, if you got 2 or 3 modules, to get these learned quickly. And really, in closing, that's pretty much what TPG Tutor does. Are there any questions? If not, if you want to see it in action over there, I'm more than happy to show anybody after we're done here for the day. I'm just the frantic looking guy at the table over here.
Are these modules you can buy, or are these modules that you develop?
These are a product. So we have a subscription service for these. You can either purchase modules to run inside your own LMS, or you can access them through Azure.
So is the training based on the new standards or WCAG or?
Yes, in short form. So right now they're based off WCAG 2.0. They're right now being rewritten for 2.1. We do have modules on the roadmap for the 508 refresh and everything else. So it's pretty comprehensive. Were you gonna add something there, Matt?
No,
Oh.
508 is not there yet.
No, 508, but it's on the roadmap there.
I'm working on it.
There we go. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, so we've got a break here for a few minutes while we get Feldman up for EPAT 2.0. He's excited about EPAT 2.0. You can tell by the title, right?